morning, YouTube. Yeah, I'm on YouTube. Good morning, YouTube. This is Donna, and today is December 4th, 2018, and I would like to reintroduce myself. I don't know if I ever did an introduction or talked about my weight or what caused me to gain so much weight, or was I always heavy? What was the factors that caused me to be overweight? I don't think I ever talked about those factors. So I'd like to reintroduce myself. My name is Donna Ladette Willis, formerly Donna Hawkins. Before that, Donna Willis. I am 45 years old. I am beautiful little girls that I had naturally. And I also have a stepson, and I have two foster babies. One of my babies, she would be turning 15 next week. She passed away when she was 11 years old from a syndrome called Arnold-Chiari malformation, and it's where your brain is misformed and your skull is misformed at the back, and your brain herniates out of your skull due to this misshape, and it didn't allow for fluids to come and go out of her brain the way they were supposed to, so her brain swelled. She had emergency surgery, and she passed away 8 days after having the emergency brain surgery. I was with my ex-husband from the time I met him when I was 18. We got back together when we were 21. We were together for, I think, almost, I'm not sure. Let me see. We had our oldest daughter in 96, and I left in 2009. So about 13 years we were together. We got married in 2000, May of 2000. We had already had our first daughter before we got married in 96. So we were together since 95, 94, I'm not sure. We had our second daughter after we were married in 2001, but at that time my marriage was crap. I have always been very tall and very thin growing up. I was 5'8", and I was about 163 pounds, and that was at my highest weight. It took me forever to get to 100 pounds, and then once I got eating out with my friends and stuff, my weight finally went up to the 160s because I was so thin when I was young. I remember that. And I look at pictures where my collarbones and my shoulder blades were sticking out, and they were like arrows sticking out. They were so thin. So I didn't have any weight problems up until after I had the first daughter. When I had the first daughter, my oldest daughter, Maya, my weight went up to 207 while I was pregnant, and unfortunately, it never got back down into what was a normal weight for me, is about in the 170s. My relationship with my ex-husband was never quite a relationship. I mean, we were in a relationship. There was no connection between the two of us. We were young. I honestly believe that he may be struggling with some issues with his sexuality. Don't tell him I said that. I definitely was struggling with issues of my sexuality, but I did what I felt was the right thing to do. And I got married, and I had kids. I adore my kids, but I was never happy in my marriage, and he knew this. We both knew that we weren't happy in that marriage, but I stayed. he would tell me to leave over the years. He would tell me he's not right for me, he's not good for me to leave when we were earlier in our relationship before we had a second child. And I wanted my kids, number one, to have the same father, number two, to have their father in their lives. So I stayed in a relationship that became very abusive, verbally, mentally, physically. I stayed in a relationship where someone who made me feel like I was worth absolutely nothing, someone who didn't seem to care about anything but himself and his next high, and um, those were his things. When he would get high, when he would drunk, when he would see his friends, those are his priorities. My priorities were making sure my kids ate, making sure my kids had a roof over their head, making sure, good Jesus, they have doctors parking everywhere. It's like 20 doctor parking. Is it really 20 offices in here for doctors? Okay, so our priorities were different. Let's just say that. So I focused on keeping my relationship, and he focused on enjoying being young. I had partners. Damn it. What? Lord? They are serious about this parking. Okay, this is green, but it doesn't say partners. And it probably is for partners, but someone's behind me. Okay, ma'am, can you park or something so I can go and find me a parking space? Come on. Thank you. So, I can't say I was a good wife. I had a messy house. I was depressed, and only thing that he would do for us is feed us. He didn't care if the bills were paid, house note was paid. He didn't care about any of that. He just here and there take us out to eat. He didn't care if my kids had clothes, shoes. He didn't care about any of that. He just cared that. I mean, he made sure that we would eat here and there. Not here and there. That's pretty silly because in 1999, before I even had a second child, I had understood that in order for me to take care of these kids that I adore, that I had to go back to school, and that's what I did. So in the meantime, I am putting on weight. I am in this miserable marriage. I have 2 kids that I'm trying to take care of. No, when I went to school, I had 1 child, and my mother-in-law at that time passed away, and he went into a deep depression and got pretty deep into drugs and was not taking care of himself. And he in turn became very mentally, verbally abusive, and nothing was good. He would call me the B word on a regular basis. He would disappear for days. And I became depressed, and I would barely leave the house. I would just eat. I didn't really have money to do anything. Whatever I had was going towards bills, and I was not taking care of myself. So for years, baby 1 came, baby 2 came, baby 3 came, and by the time baby 3 came, I was about 300 pounds, 299 pounds. Excuse me for scratching my nose. It's just not because I'm lying. Because if I was lying, child, I wouldn't have been 300 pounds getting BSG. So one day in 2009, after being married for years and in this abusive, physically, mentally, emotionally abusive relationship, he was even financially abusive. One day I had got up and was getting my daughters ready for school, and he started He had just came home. He had been gone all weekend. He got paid Friday. He didn't come home for the weekend. I was getting my kids ready for school, all three of my kids. My youngest one was in kindergarten. The next one was in second grade, and the oldest one was in junior high, maybe in eighth grade. And I was getting my daughters ready for school, and he started to curse me out. He wanted to fight. I don't know what was going on in his head. He probably was still high from the weekend. He wanted to fight with me. So he started talking mess, but I was no longer in the mood to go back and forth with him. So he started to call me, a bitch repeatedly. He kept flinching at me as if he was going to hit me while I was trying to get my daughters ready for school. So he called me a bitch one more time, and something went off in my head. Get out of here. This is it. Get out of here. The house, we had already started receiving notices that the house was in foreclosure. The water was off, but he was a plumber, so he had talked our neighbor into letting him do the plumbing so that we could get water. The gas was getting cut off, but he would cut it back on. Lights would get cut off, he would cut them back on. Not paying the bills, he would just cut these things back on. So I was at my wit's end with this relationship, but that morning he started with the bitch, and I don't remember anything else he said. I just kept hearing bitch ring in my head. So I was getting my daughters ready. I went into their room. He was in the living room. My daughters, two of them was in the bathroom getting ready. I had the baby. I was combing her hair. I went and got a trash bag, and I filled the trash bag up with my girls' clothes. So he went outside or to the bathroom. I hurry up, went and put that bag in the trunk. I finished getting the other two ready, combing hair and everything. He went outside. I went in my room. I grabbed all my clothes, all my shoes, put them in a bag. I got all the girls' clothes, all the girls' shoes, put them in a bag, went and put it in the garage. Two trash bags, put them in my trunk. Two trash bags. I grabbed some photo albums of my daughters. And with two trash bags and some photo albums, I went to my car, put my daughters in my car, took them to school, dropped them off, and I called my mother and I said, I can't anymore. I was 300 pounds. I didn't have a job. I was taking care of my kids because I couldn't depend on him to do it. I couldn't afford to pay anybody to do it. He had a job, but drugs are his priority, and it was time for me to get out and get my kids together. The thing with the house is I would have been willing to save the house, but the house was 100% in his name, and he refused to put my name on the house. He had inherited the house, which meant a percentage of what the house was worth was mine because I moved in the house when the house became his in 2001. So from 2001 to 2009, any interest that had gained on the house, 50% of it was mine by law in California. So I was like, okay, if anything, that would be something to help me in the girls' house. But the problem was he wouldn't pay the bills. So I left the house that day. I dropped my daughters off. I called my mom. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And my mother said, come on. Everybody had been telling me over the years that I needed to get away. My dad kept telling me, Donna, just because it's easier doesn't mean it's better. Everyone was telling me, but I wanted to prove everyone wrong, that my marriage was going to work. My kids were going to grow up with their dad. They all had the same father. He was going to figure it out, find out how important we were, and it was going to work out. But it didn't work out. So I, once again, dropped the girls off, called my mom. My mom said, come on. I went to my mom's house. I took everything out of my car. I told her I cannot go back anymore. My mom lives in a one-bedroom apartment by the beach. So you know it's small. So me and my three kids slept on my mother's floor from October 9th till February 14th. In between that time, I'll leave that for part 2. This is my introduction. This is Donna, and I will talk to you guys later for part 2 of my introduction.